Alright, what's going on, y'all? This is episode 2 of SunDae Market Talks. Um, if you watched last episode, you can see that we started, the market opened. Let's see, Sunday. So we opened, and like I said, if you watched the last episode, we drew these levels live. Um, and just looking at the chart, you can see most of our levels played out perfect. Um, I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember much that I said in the episode because, like I said, I had my trade plan, I had my ideas, I plotted my lines. So as the week went on, I just kind of, you know, traded off of my lines. I didn't pay too much attention to the episode um, because we don't know what the market's gonna do. Like I said, we can have our predictions, we can get our ideas, but we don't know until the market gets here. So, coming in a week later, we can see that we opened up and we automatically started respecting some of our ranges. We opened up and let's see, this was our opening 15-minute candle. You can see we closed above this 46.56, held it, got a push up. Ended up falling below it. As soon as we fell below it, we tapped our next level at 46.30, reclaimed 46.56, tested this level at 46.90. And like I said, y'all see me plot these levels live, so it's not like I came back and just marked out what the market did. On this chart, I didn't alter anything. But the main thing I want to talk about is this 47.30 level. In the video, this was one of my main levels. And if y'all remember, I said if we close above 47.30, there's not a lot of volume in this zone. So we'll squeeze to 47.50 if we get that candle close and hold above 47.30. And you see what happened. Boom. We squeezed up to this 47.50. And we tested this level whenever Trump talked about the deadline with Iran, and the news came out very bullish. And if y'all remember, I said if we get above 47.50, actually, I don't know if I said that in the market talk, but I know for sure I said that to somebody in some messages that if we get above 47.50, we can squeeze to 4800. So once we got above that 48.50 or we started closing above this 47.30, Trump came out with that news. We got the squeeze we wanted. And even with our supply zone, you can see we got the close above the supply zone. We had these levels. We retested the supply zone. We stayed above it for a little bit, but we rejected off of this 48.70 level. Like I said, our levels just played out perfect. Stayed in this range. Ended up getting back in the supply zone. Got to the bottom of the supply zone and towards this trend line. Fell under the trend line, started playing back in this 47.30 to 47.50 range. Like I said, this is a 15-minute chart just throughout the week. Then we started playing in the supply zone, and we ended up closing in the supply zone. So, with all that being said, we can actually keep a lot of these lines coming into the next week and just kind of feed off of what we already have. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this live again. I want to implement NQ and ES soon, but I might take another week or so. I might bring that in the month of May. I can chart NQ ES, just as easy, but I want to let that play out a little more. NQ and ES isn't in a range that I've been enjoying. Maybe with this Iran news, it'll help it a little more. So I just want to give it some time before I start charting it, because right now it's not for me. I'm really loving how gold is moving. So looking in it, like I said, we're in this supply zone. So my idea, well, let's see. Let's go to the 4 hour. Let's go to the 4 hour, see what we're looking at. You can see that we did end up breaking our structure on this trend line. So we're not as bullish in my opinion. Let's see if we draw another trend line. that's what we're looking like. With us being right in this supply zone, closing in the supply zone, I will be looking for us to pull back whenever the market opens, depending on how we gap up or down. Like I said, we don't know how we're gonna open, so everything just starts off as an idea. Um, with it, I still want to see us, because from SunDae, this is our, let's see, let's draw a vertical line from SunDae so we know exactly where SunDae was. Make sure we can what colors is just very visible. Okay, we can do this black line. Perfect. So we're only paying attention to the right of this black line because that's SunDae. That'll be the whole week that I just want to pay attention to right now. So with that, like I said, we peaked above this supply zone. This is on the hour chart now. So we have this high right here at 48.90 basically. So I'll mark out a line for that. Mark out a line for this 48.90. And we have the low, the week's low was right here at 46.30. So with us closing in this supply zone, if we open in this supply zone and maybe peak above 48, I'm gonna go 48.30. I'm gonna adjust this line to around 48.30. If we peak above this supply zone at some point and we create a lower high, so we'll draw this trend line now. If we retest this trend line around 48.30, retest it and reject, and we never get a close above this supply zone, well, now I'll be expecting us to push down. And with this downtrend, our overall target, in my opinion, and like I said, this is with no indicators just yet. Once I turn these indicators on, that'll help us get a clear view of what we have going on. But I want to see us take out this low at 46.30 and possibly retest 4,600 still. And like I said last week, if we retest 4,600, close below it, we can see this level at 45.64. After that, we can see the bottom of the zone, 45.50, and then maybe even a sweep, and expect for, you know, maybe this level to hold right here, or this level down here. So all in all, what I want to see is some shorts come in and retest down here. Like I said, take out this low that came from Tuesday. There is like a lot of liquidity that's just sitting here. So with that, there's not going to be a lot of volume in this range. Since that Trump tweet came out, you see we did already retest it. We held it. But if we close below this like 47.30 range to 47.20, so about a 10-point range, you know, we can expect a pretty nice drop. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a rectangle right here since it's a 10-point range. I'm going to get my little gray rectangle. Oops. That's good right there. And I'll be looking for about, like I said, if we close under this, I'll start looking for a drop down to these targets here, and I'll start playing off these levels again. So under this box, these levels become very important again. If we start losing these levels overall, I think we can take out this low at 46.30 and retest that 4,600. If we hold 4,600, well, we can expect to bounce right back up. And like I said, if we get back above, you know, this 47.30 to this 47.50 range, we can expect to play the supply zone again. If we get above this supply zone, we have our targets up here at 5,000. If we can't, then you know, then we're gonna just be in this range. And I know we start getting the lines very quick. We start getting a lot of lines very quick, a lot of drawings very quick. Like I said, if I go to, you know, my main chart on gold, You can see I have an insane amount of lines, and that's just from us, marking out what's happening throughout the week, throughout the days, important news candles, and all of that. So, all of these lines are very important. It's not like I'm just scribbling on the chart. They all mean something. So, depending on how we open, like I said, my bias is going to be more towards the short side to see if we can retest that 4,600. So now if we turn on our indicators, this is where, it gets a little more confusing, you could say. You can see we have a previous week high of 48.25, so right at the top of our supply zone. We got our previous day close at 48.18, so we can keep that in mind for this range right here. We can keep in mind for some liquidity. So we could be looking to retest this and see how we do around that range. So I really like this line at 48.30 is what I'm gonna move it to. And like I said, this is also for me understanding how gold moves. It's a lot of trades that I can kind of get in. Like, we made this bullish order block at this 47.30. Gold likes to bounce off, the 47.30. I see it bouncing off 47.20 being a key point, 47.40 sometimes, 47.90. So I know it's just like I'm doing 10-point increments, but like I said, paying attention to gold so much, I kind of know the range it likes to bounce at. Usually like 47.67 is a good range, or like the 67 tick mark. I don't know. Hopefully how I'm explaining it makes sense, but I know what I'm trying to say. Shit. Like I said, right now we do look a little bearish. We're just looking at our indicators. Let me hide draw on this now. Just looking at our indicators, it is showing a little more bear side. You see we have this bearish order block up here, but we do have a bullish order block right here. We have a lot of bullish order blocks stacked up, and we're above the 200 EMA. So technically we are more bullish. I know I just said bearish, but us rejecting off this, almost this 4,900 makes me think that, we just want to go a little lower, grab some liquidity before we bust through all of this. Overall, we want to see up here to this 5,050 range. But before we go higher, we have to go lower and grab some liquidity. So if we could just get a decent sweep of this, let's see, let's jump up to the 4 hour. 4 hour, we're still under the 200 EMA. So if we lose this 200 EMA, so 47.63 or 47.60 is going to be an important level, because that's right where our 200 is. And if we if we turn our lines back on, you can see this is where our supply zone is that we drew. So it's lining up, right with our indicators. So if we get under our supply zone, that's what I'm saying we can expect to go down. So we're already on target with that. Back to the 4 hour, we have the previous day low sitting at 47.18. Also with a bullish fair value gap sitting at 47.20 range. So this is a great sign of liquidity. We can expect to come back in this range, because we have some bulls sitting here. So coming back to this range wouldn't be a surprise. If bulls can hold this, yes, we can go higher. If they can't hold this, then we could expect to go lower. So our next target would be around this 4,700, and that'll be the start of this order block. If we get in this order block, then we'll start playing in this order block just like we did here on the, let's say, 1 hour. And if I hide indicators, you see how we broke in this order block. Of course we broke out of it, but by the time we got back in it, you see how we just start playing in this order block. Yes, we lost it right here, but you see right here we're just playing in this range, this supply zone. That's what I'd be expecting when it comes to this right here on the 4 hour. If we start closing in it and we can't stay above it, then I'll expect us to start playing in this range, right? And if I draw got everything everywhere. Where's the drawing tool? Struggling. Let's do path. So let's say we tank down here, right? You know, we can expect to bounce, you know, at our zone. And let's say it plays out like this, right? And we start closing in this. Once we start closing in this, if we don't get back above this, well, we can expect to start playing in this range. And this is how it could play out. Maybe not as clean, but for the most part, like, it could start playing out like this. And then we get to the bottom of it, and we finally get that sweep. Once we get that sweep, you know, we'd be looking for this 4,600. So if we close under this order block, then that's where we'd be looking for this 4,600. And we'd have this 4,630, which is the bottom of this order block, which is a line you see that we have from earlier that we haven't moved. Before we had the indicators on, it lines up with the bottom of this order block. You know, if we tap 4,600, we can expect to come back up here to this 4,630. And we know if we start holding 4,630, well, it's the bottom of this order block, this bullish order block, and we'd be expecting kind of a big move off of it. So, you know, we tap 4,600, we start holding 4,600, and we reclaim this. Well, now we could be expecting something like this. And of course, it's not going to move, you know, just this clean. Well, we don't know that, but that's just me kind of showing an example of what you could expect, the overall target. So this will be a little more of a quicker episode. Like I said, I'm only going to focus on gold for the rest of this month. Hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of what we have coming up. As far as the data we have, let's see. As far as data, Monday we have existing home sales and we have Fed speaking. Tuesday we have PPI, along with some other things. Wednesday, we have a lot of Fed speaking. Thursday we have more Fed speaking, jobless claims, and Friday we just have some more speeches. So there's going to be a lot of talks coming this next week. So I won't be expecting the market to just be moving too clean. You know, I feel like a lot of people will be waiting to see what's happening with some of these speeches. So we'll keep that in mind. But we have our overall targets. Market open for Sunday. I'm recording this on Saturday, but I'll have it premiered for Sunday. Come market open, like I said, it just depends on where we open. But if we open, sorry, hold on. What am I doing? Hide indicators. Okay, there we go. If we open anywhere in this supply zone, I'm looking for shorts. So, of course, at the top of it. Or if we open under it and we retest the bottom of it. So let's say we open here, right? I'll be looking for a retest of the bottom of it. If we can't reclaim and hold this, then I'll be looking for shorts off this level, so the bottom of it, and I'll be looking for a flush back down. So maybe something like this, you know what I mean? And then that. We could look for something like this, short wise. If we open above this, then we're just looking for basically a break and retest and a continuation. So this is my idea going into next week. Like I said, y'all have the overall game plan of what I'm expecting. I want to see 4,600 sometime this week. If we tap 4,600, I think we can get a good bounce off of it and go higher. But that's my idea. I unfortunately lost some accounts this week. I had a limit order sitting after I closed my trade. I had a limit order still going, and I got filled overnight, and it ended up popping all 5 of my accounts. So I didn't trade too much this week, but I'm looking to get back at it this week, get my revenge on the market, and make it happen. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in to SunDae Market Talks episode 2. and we're gonna keep getting better. Hope y'all enjoyed, and let's make some money this week.